I used to be someone who drove big trucks until 2015, when I had to quit because my back was hurting a lot. This story is about something that happened to me way back in the early 90s. I never talked about it with anyone because I did something bad. If anyone found out, I'd be in big trouble again. I remember this thing happening during my early days of driving. I was new, so they gave me jobs no one else wanted. I was super happy to even have this job, because when I was a teenager, I did something wrong and had to go to jail for it. Not many people want to give jobs to someone who has been to jail. But this job was good and paid well. Because I was new and they knew about my past, I had to drive during the night. It was not too bad since I still got to go home and sleep in my own bed. One night, when the month was about to end, I was driving somewhere in the Northeast. I don't want to tell exactly where. It was super late, like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I was the only one on that long road. Driving at that time was weird. Watching the road's white lines felt like I was in a dream. It made me feel sleepy sometimes. Other trucks or cars passed me once in a while. Those little moments woke me up and broke the sleepiness. Many of my truck driver friends have told me they felt sleepy while driving. That night, I felt the same. I was almost falling asleep when I saw a strange light. There was a red light on the side of the road. I wasn't sure if I was seeing things or if it was real. As I got near, I saw it was a car's backlights. I thought, why is a car stopped here in the middle of the night? So I parked my truck behind the car to see if I could help. When I got out of the truck and walked to the car, the lights I thought were on were just the reflection from my truck's lights. I looked inside the car from the driver's side, but it was super dark. So I used my small light from my key ring to see inside. The driver's seat was empty, but the keys were still there. But when I shined my light in the back, I got really scared. There was someone lying down there and there was so much blood everywhere. I felt a cold shiver. I just knew deep inside that the person was no longer alive. I felt so sick after seeing the person in the back that I quickly turned around and felt really, really bad on the side of the road. After I felt a little better, I opened the car door. It opened easily. I reached in to check the person, hoping maybe he was still okay, but deep down I already knew he was gone. A big worry started to grow in my mind. I had made mistakes before and the police knew me from the past. What if they thought I did this? Just because I had made mistakes before, would they think I hurt this man? With a heavy heart, I went back to the car's driver's side, sat inside, and started the engine. There was a lake nearby that I knew about. I thought maybe I could hide the car there. Every now and then, I'd look back, hoping the man would move or something. But it was quiet. Really quiet. Reaching the lake, I put the car in a mode where it could roll by itself. I gave it a big push and watched as it went into the water and disappeared. I was crying the whole time. I felt so bad about what I had done. Then I started walking back to my big truck. All the way, I kept thinking, why did I do that? I was hiding between the trees next to the road just to be careful. But as I got close to my truck, my heart jumped. There was a police car parked next to it. Feeling super scared, I waited for a bit and wiped my eyes. Taking a deep breath, I slowly walked out from the trees. The police officer saw me and came over. He asked if everything was okay and if I needed any help. Trying to sound calm, I said I was okay and just took a break to use the bathroom in the trees. We talked a bit about simple stuff. Thankfully, he didn't say anything about the car or the man. After a while, he left. I got into my truck and drove away. That spot on the road always reminds me of that night. Even today, when I pass by, I remember what happened. Now, when I think about it, I don't know if the police would have thought I hurt that man. But I can't change what I did. It's a big regret I have to live with. I've been driving big trucks for a long time, from when I was just out of my teenage years till now, and I'm 35. When this weird thing happened, I was moving trash between Canada and the USA. Honestly, it wasn't the job I always dreamed of, but considering I didn't even finish high school, making around $90,000 a year felt okay. I used to start my work early in the morning, like 6 a.m. After some time, I started enjoying the early starts because roads are so quiet and empty then. This gave me some alone time with the road, which I liked, but I also knew that roads can be risky, more so when they get crowded. On this day, I had to use a different route. The main road I usually took was closed because they were fixing it, so I had to go a different way. This new route wasn't a big fast road. It was small, with just one lane for each direction and thick woods on both sides. It was an early morning just past 6, and the sun was only beginning to rise. Being in the north part of Michigan in April, the weather was chilly, feeling like it was freezing cold. I remember my hands trembling on the steering wheel since my truck wasn't all warmed up yet. I leaned over to make the heater stronger, and that's when I remembered I forgot to grab a coffee before I left. My cup holder was empty, and I wished I had something warm to drink. When I looked back at the road, something in the woods on the right side caught my attention. I tried to look closely, but whatever it was, it vanished quickly. From the short glance I had, it seemed like a person, but I couldn't be sure. This place had many deer, but I didn't remember seeing a lot of them that season. Thinking someone might need help, I decided to stop my truck. I looked around and there were no cars stopped nearby. Maybe it was someone in trouble. Once I got out of the truck, I walked a little into the woods calling out, "Hello!" but no one responded. The woods felt really spooky for some reason. I was getting more worried, but my curiosity pushed me to keep looking. Then, I found a place where I saw some clothes scattered on the ground. They had blood on them, and I even found a piece of sticky tape among them. I got really scared. I looked around, but there was no one. The trees were not very dense, and I could see quite far, but nobody was there. I ran back to my truck super fast, got in, and locked the door. Taking out my phone, I called 911. It took a while for the police to come since we were far from the town, but they were there in about 10 minutes. With the police, I went back to that scary spot. But weirdly, nothing was there. Everything I had seen was gone. I got nervous, thinking they might not believe me. But the policeman was very serious and called for more police to help. The police looked everywhere in the woods because of what I told them, but they never found anything. It's been a while now, almost 2 years, and I've been checking the news all the time, but there's been no news about anyone missing or any bodies discovered. Until today, I really don't know what I saw or what happened in those woods, but I'm sure someone was doing something strange. I'm really scared of flying, so I always try not to fly if I can help it. Because of this, I drive a lot, especially for long trips. I've driven this route a few times before, and honestly, I kinda like it. It gives me time to think and be with my thoughts. This particular trip was going to be a long one, taking up 2 whole days. So I knew I'd need to find a place, maybe a little hotel or motel, to sleep at for a night. Not long after I started driving, maybe about 2 hours in, I felt the need to use the bathroom. I decided to stop at a rest stop that I had stopped at before. It was a familiar spot since I wasn't too far from where I lived. Parking my car, I got out and began walking towards the rest stop's building. Just as I was about to get there, a big truck drove up next to me. The driver tried to say something to me. The truck was huge, one of those big 18-wheelers that can carry a lot of stuff. The truck's engine was still running loudly, so I couldn't hear what the driver was saying to me. It kinda looked like he was asking if I needed a ride or something. But that didn't make sense because, well, almost everyone at the rest stop had driven there in their own cars. I wasn't sure how to react. I didn't want to be impolite, so I gave a quick smile, nodded, and kept walking. I didn't spend too much time thinking about it. I went inside the building and used the bathroom. When I was done and came back out, I noticed the big white truck had left. Heading back to my car, I felt relieved and continued my journey. I enjoyed driving, listening to my favorite songs, and the time passed quickly. But after a while, I glanced at my rearview mirror. That's when I saw it. A big white truck, the same one or one that looked like it, was following me from a distance. I couldn't help but think back to the man I had met earlier. Was it the same white truck? I mean, lots of people drive white trucks, right? But the more I thought about it, the more worried I got. I kept checking my mirror often, and after a while I didn't see that truck anymore. As evening came, I started looking around for a place to rest. Soon, I spotted a truck stop with a tiny motel beside it. It wasn't fancy, but it looked good enough for one night. Near the motel was a diner. My stomach grumbled, reminding me that I hadn't eaten in a while. So after parking my car, I headed to the diner. The food was decent and I felt better after eating. But as I left the diner and was about to go to my room, something caught my eye. Parked a bit away in the truck section was a familiar-looking white truck. My heart skipped a beat. I cautiously went closer to check it. The inside was empty, but it really looked like the truck I had seen before. I quickly headed to my room, making sure to lock the door behind me. Tired from the drive, I dozed off quickly, even though it was just past 9 in the evening. But then, a strange noise woke me up. It sounded like metal scraping against metal. I tried to make out where it was coming from and realized it was right at my door. Quietly, I went over and peeked through the window blinds. I saw a man fidgeting with my door, probably trying to break in. Panic set in, and I grabbed my phone to dial 911. I think he might have heard my voice because when I looked out again, he had disappeared. A little while later, a police officer showed up. I told him about the man and the earlier incident at the rest stop. There was a security camera nearby, and when they checked the footage, it showed the same man from before. I described the white truck to the officer, and with that information, they managed to find and arrest the man. It was chilling to realize that I wasn't just imagining things. I was actually being followed. I shudder to think what might have happened if I hadn't woken up in time. Every day I'm grateful for that little noise that roused me from sleep.